College football, the headlines this morning, National Recruiting Day in college football. I don't like that. 3, 2, 1.
Dog grooming, dog.
And a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier. And with one tab, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video. To get the new WTRF-7 News app, just update the latest version or download the WTRF-7 News app in your Apple or Google Play Store by searching WTRF.
Being young protects us kids from a lot of things.
Like paying bills.
And boring meetings.
Blech.
But there's one big thing being young doesn't protect us from.
That's COVID.
Since August, COVID has made an average of 100,000 kids a week sick.
But now, kids 5 to 11 can get a vaccine tailored to give us the best protection.
For me. For us.
For kids.
We can do this. Find a vaccine near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Babies come with lots of decisions.
Cloth or disposable? Crib or bassinet?
So when it comes to protection, go with the safest, most effective choice, vaccination. Get all the recommended vaccines for your baby by age 2 to protect your child against 14 serious childhood diseases. For more reasons to vaccinate, talk to your child's doctor. Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Are you or your loved ones facing a serious legal battle? The law office of Paul Harris wants you to know you aren't alone. Do you need someone that's not afraid to go to trial and fight for your rights? Attorney Paul Harris and his team are willing to go where most firms are not. The courtroom. With a successful track record in civil litigation, criminal defense, including tax issues and healthcare fraud, Harris Law Office will fight for their clients by offering the most aggressive representation in and out of court. Call Paul Harris at Harris Law Office for a free consultation. 304-232-5300.
Stand by. You're back to live and local programming in moments on the Watchdog.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I am the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Periods of rain on and off through the day before it changes into a wintry mix. The daytime high near 41. Better chance of seeing that wintry mix after the sun goes down. Temperatures fall to about 27 for the low. We'll see a few snow showers around through the overnight for Thursday. Into your Friday, snow showers on and off with a daytime high near 27. Have yourself a great day, everyone, and be safe. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
On FM, on AM, online, on demand, and on video. We are where you are. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe is here now.
We are in the middle of Winter Storm Landon, just like you are, depending on where you are in the Ohio Valley. You're probably seeing some rain this morning, but everybody is seeing rain this morning. As the morning goes on, the rain will turn to freezing rain. It'll become a serious freezing rain by afternoon, and going into the evening, we could have some real ice problems, and we'll mix with snow in the overnight hours. So, and then tomorrow, it's going to be a real messy morning as well. So, if you got things to do today, this morning is the time to do them. Law enforcement, road folks are saying by midday, probably best is to get off the roads because of the ice that's going to be coming down. Ice is a problem. You also want to be prepared for the potential of power outages. With as much ice as we're predicting, we could be seeing the power lines getting loaded with ice and getting pulled down, that kind of thing. So be prepared for that as well. The roads, the power you got to worry about. Just be prepared. Charge your phone so you can stay in touch with people if you have to. Make sure you got blankets in case there's no heat, all that kind of good stuff. So it's going to be basically a from now until the end, a 24, 32-hour event, something of that nature. So be aware. Right at freezing right now, 33 degrees, Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 32 at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 32 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Weather is the big story, so we're following that fairly closely. I was offering some comments earlier. I think Governor Justice's fascination with Baby Dog is crossing over the line. It started cute, got a little crass. I think now it's getting a little creepy, the way the governor seems to be loving on his dog so much. Just my opinion. We talked about that earlier. Coming up in the next half hour of this hour, reporter Stephen Adams is with us to take a look at how the fundraising is going in the McKinley-Mooney race. That Republican primary is going to be probably the premier race in the state of West Virginia coming up in the spring primary. And how's the fundraising going? Who's been raising the most? Who has the most? Who's spending the most? Who's hoarding the most? All of that. Stephen has the details for us coming up a little bit later on. A new poll says an overwhelming number of us in this country have come to believe that COVID is something we're never going to beat. We're just going to have to learn to live with. And a lawsuit filed by former coach Flores claims the NFL is blatantly and extensively racist and makes some other claims there as well. In just a bit, Biff and I are going to kick that story around a bit, and you can add your take on it as well on the phone line at 304-232-8255, or if you prefer, on the text line, 304-214-1600. It is 8:13 after the hour right now here on the Watchdog Morning Show. And always around this time of the morning, during this time of year meaning the legislative session down in Charleston, we try and bring you up to speed on what they're working on down there in the state capitol under the Golden Dome. And here's our morning update.
This is the Metro News Capital Report, brought to you by AARP West Virginia. AARP is your ally for real possibilities in the Mountain State. Connect on social media at AARPWV or learn more at aarp.org/WV. Today's report in 60 seconds.
AARP is your ally for real possibilities in the Mountain State, a wise friend and fierce defender for everyone in West Virginia as you get older. With 250,000 members and communities in all 55 counties, AARP is working every day for you. We have financial tools and health guides to help make sure the good things in your life live as long as you do. We're working to protect your hard-earned money, sharing tips and tools to help you spot frauds and scams. At the same time, AARP is advocating on behalf of West Virginians 50-plus and their families at the state capitol. Every day, we're supporting family caregivers, fighting for things like better high-speed internet access across the state. And we're sharing the latest coronavirus information to help keep you and your family safe. Everyone in the Mountain State needs someone in their corner. That someone is AARP. For more information, connect with us on social media at AARP West Virginia or find us online at aarp.org/WV.
State Higher Education Chancellor Dr. Sarah Armstrong Tucker will be before the Senate Finance Committee at 9:30 this morning. On the agenda is the Higher Education Funding Formula Bill. Representatives of the state's colleges and universities have met often during the last several months, coming up with the formula. Supporters say it will give their schools more certainty when it comes to funding instead of wondering what they'll get from state lawmakers year in and year out. Tucker says schools will know exactly what they need to do to earn more state dollars.
You've got 3 years of a benchmark. You do better than you did for the past 3 years on average, we'll recommend more money. You do worse, we'll recommend less money. It's pretty straightforward.
And Tucker says other states have funding formulas. She says West Virginia's will look like some of those, but will also have a unique feature.
Is that we started looking at state priorities for degree production and saying, okay, every degree is going to be worth something. Every degree is worth a value of 1. Every graduate is important. We know we need to increase that.
Again, that bill is before the Senate Finance Committee this morning. This afternoon before the committee, WV and Marshall officials will be on hand to talk about their budget plans. I'm Jeff Jenkins on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
On the last talk line on Metro News, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Charles.
draw unemployment to the health of the economy and the availability of jobs.
Talkline, weekdays at 10:06 on this Metro News station.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together we will get through this.
Sometimes the best time to prune trees is when they're dormant or with no leaves on them. For ISA certified arborists, it helps them see what branches may need to be pruned or removed. Dormant season pruning can also help lessen problems associated with insects and diseases and help create structurally stronger trees that can better handle heavy wet snows or ice buildup. Contact an ISA certified arborist to get the best professional advice on keeping your trees healthy and safe. Go to treesforohio.org. That's trees, 4, ohio.org.
This is Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
As the coronavirus continues to tear through Ohio, COVID-19 vaccines and masks are crucial protection measures. Whether or not you're in a district that has put a mask requirement in place, please do the right thing and make sure your kids mask up. We owe it to each other to stop the spread of this virus.
Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
If you missed us the first time, keep going. You'll find us just down the dial. AM 1600 and 1370, FM 98.1 and 97.7. We are the Watchdog.
Great conversation continues now on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Text line available for your use, 304-214-1600. We were talking earlier about most area schools are on or have canceled for today. A couple are on remote learning. And Biff and I were talking about the fact that I thought once remote learning came into being last year, early 2 years ago, that we weren't going to have any more snow days, that whenever it snowed or whenever kids couldn't get to school, they was going to flip automatically to remote learning. That hasn't happened. They're using up their snow days. I would think they're running out of snow days. Off the text line, Howard, Marshall County had 5 snow days. They are all gone now. 5 remote days are still available. Maybe that's why Marshall County's on remote today. I guess their snow days are over, so they have 5 remote days to use. Then they have to start adjusting, taking days away from their spring break. So, okay. Thank you for that info about the Marshall County situation. Did not know that. But I did note that they were on remote learning today. I wondered why, and I guess that's probably the reason. If you want to text me on any of the subjects we're talking about, 304-214-1600, or call me, 304-232-8255. Earlier this week, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores, who was fired by the team last month after 3 years working for him, sued the NFL, sued the Dolphins, the Broncos, and the New York Giants as well, claiming racist hiring practices for coaches and general managers. Flores said in his lawsuit that the NFL is, and I quote, rife with racism. He made some other claims there as well. If one of the interesting pieces of evidence that he brings to the table in this suit, though, is a missent email, right?
Text message.
Text message, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yes. It was Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, and he was actually intending the text message to be sent to not Brian Flores, but another Brian Dable. Dable ended up being the head coach of the New York Giants. That's who the Giants hired. So Bill Belichick actually sends a text thinking it's to Brian Dable, he sends it to Brian.
Hey, Brian, congratulations, you got the job, basically.
Yeah, sends it to Brian Flores instead, congratulating him on the Giants head coaching job. And Flores sends back, well, is there something that you don't know here that I do? And, Flores is telling Belichick, hey, no, I'm supposed to have a meeting and all this and that. And I think finally it was Belichick that realized, oopsie, I made a mistake and was intending him to be to Brian Dable, and instead he was sending him to Brian Flores. Well, how do we know it was Bill Belichick? Because at the end of each text, he would sign it BB. So that's how you knew that Belichick was sending it to the wrong Brian. Now, with Denver, what happened in Denver was Flores had a head coaching interview in Denver, but apparently Denver had already hired a head coach. So what they were doing in interviewing Flores was there's a rule in the NFL called the Rooney Rule, which is, yes, indeed, named after the Rooney from the Steelers. So you have to hire, minorities and black head coaching candidates. Well, the problem was Denver had made Flores wait for the meeting. They were late. Flores had stated that they came in, basically disheveled and, not really giving him a real interview and basically just satisfying
They've been out partying. Looked like they've been out partying the night before.
Yeah, and basically they were just satisfying the Rooney Rule. So that was the thing with Denver that was there. And the thing with the Dolphins is just absolutely unbelievable. Basically saying, hey, we'll pay you more money if you throw games, is basically what they were doing in Miami.
If that's the thing that strikes me as the most egregious claim in this lawsuit. Now, am I surprised that the NFL, the claim at least is, does it surprise me that somebody's claiming the NFL has racism built into it? It does not. I'm not saying that it's something I thought, oh my God, I think the NFL is racist, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's not a shocker to me. If there's racism built into, sadly, an awful lot of our society. It's not overt, it's usually covert. And Rooney Rule or no Rooney Rule, it sometimes is still there. So it's bad, it's wrong, deserves a lawsuit, and it deserves a full hearing, this racism side of things. Big deal. But to me, the bigger deal is, Flores says, the Dolphins owner said that Flores would get a $100,000 bonus for every loss he had during the first season because he wanted the club to tank so they could get the top draft pick. I mean, that's just...
It's...
Now, racism doesn't surprise me. Does this idea surprise you, that he might be paid, that they might pay coaches to tank the games?
Yes, because it is very hard to throw an NFL game.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that we see that make you think, a bad call here or there. You see certain things that make you wonder, whether or not that the, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, that the bookies either got to a player or to an NFL official. There are certainly certain things that look like it. Now, we can't, I don't know how you prove that, but it's basically, other than sitting your starters and putting your second team or scout team in every game or certain games.
In a competitive game, yeah.
Yeah, right. Other than doing that, I don't know how you purposely throw it. Forget the NFL. Any type of, I don't care what league it is, any type of game, let alone the NFL.
Yeah. It might be easier in some sports. NBA, an individual player can just sort of be off on a given day, Biff. Just kind of miss shots, it might be a little bit easier there. But you're right, in any sport, but especially the NFL, I mean, if someone tried to tank, it seems to me it would be so obvious and so blatant, like you said, sitting the entire first squad down in a competitive game. Short of that, I mean, I don't know how you fix a game. Now, I'm sure some of you are going to text me and tell me. Some of you. And in my mind, it's terrible either way. But again, it's one thing if the bookies got to the quarterback. Okay, I'm just making this story up, obviously, but
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing if the rookies got to the quarterback and said, you know, just play a little lower than usual because we want to hit the spread. I get that. But for, again, what Flores claims is the Dolphins the owner said, lose games. Lose games. We need to get ourselves higher in the draft picks in order to succeed later, so we'll purposefully lose right now. That's stunning to me.
I mean, other than, I guess if you just ran the ball every play and then went 3 and out and punted, or you threw the ball every play instead of running. I mean, I guess there are little ways that you can do it, but I just don't see how you do it in an NFL football, in an NFL game.
And if you did, it would be maybe again I'm wrong. They're professionals; they maybe can do it, but it would be to me obvious. I mean, I would think in the stands they'd all be going, "What's going on down there? Something's not right. Why are they playing that way?" I mean,
yeah, that's
the only way to do it. To me, is in such an obvious way that the fans and therefore the league itself would know something's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, I don't know how you can do it secretly. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and again, if this were happening, I mean, you would think Roger Goodell, the commissioner, would be the first one to know about it, or any other owner in the league would know about it. I mean, that's why to me I just find it hard because you've got the commissioner, you've got the other owners, and like you said, you have the fans. The fans would be the first one to notice. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, you know, you see an NFL game and you sit there, you know, on Sunday, you know, I'd be sitting with Dad and we'd be watching a game, and almost one of us, we would see something and look, either one of us would want any Sunday go, okay, you think they're throwing it here, or you think, you know, the bookies got to whoever or what. I mean, fans notice right away. They notice. You've got the commissioner, you've got the owners, but there are too many eyes out there watching that would know. And I think if the commissioner would have noticed, he would have done something right away. And if he still didn't notice, then if the owners notice, then, you know, I think they would have gotten together somehow and said, listen, you know, they would have talked to each other and said, hey, quit this, okay?
Now, let's be clear, to the best of my understanding of this lawsuit, Flores is not claiming he did this. He's claiming he was encouraged to do this.
Yeah,
He's not claiming he lost games. He's claiming that the Dolphins owner told him, you get $100,000 for each game you lose. So, but Flores isn't saying that he did that, so he's just saying it's up. Now, I want to be 1,000% clear. Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, responded last night, and he was pretty firm. He says, I take great personal exception to these malicious attacks, and the truth must be known. His allegations are false, malicious, and defamatory. Clearly, the claims have to be looked into, Biff. I don't know how you verify it. I don't know how you can prove it if it's a, you know, one-on-one conversation. You know, hey, coach, here's what I want you to do, Brian. If you could just lose a few games, you get some extra bucks. I mean, I don't know how you prove that or disprove that, but it's out there it's going to court because it's in this lawsuit.
Well, I mean,
the lawsuit's getting a lot of attention for racism, but this is part of the suit as well.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike Tomlin is the only black head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Out of 32 teams in the NFL, he is the only one. But to go back to the allegations with Miami, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If anything, you have to look into it just to protect whatever integrity of the game there is left. And I mean, you have to do it for that reason alone. And again, unless there was someone else in there with Coach Flores that was in that meeting, to me, I mean, it basically sounds like his word versus the owner's word, unless somebody taped a conversation that we don't know about. To me, that's what you're looking at there.
And then the question becomes, is it just, if it is true, and again, we don't have any proof that it's true, is it just the Dolphins? Last night, former Cleveland Browns coach Hugh Jackson said that his team had a 4-year plan incentivizing losing. And they ended up with a 1-31 record. So clearly, whatever the incentives were, they must have been working. He said bonus money was available if certain things were met. But normally, when we think of bonus money, Biff, it's if you do better, you get a bonus, right? You know.
Yeah, look at how many guys have certain milestones that they get to that they get bonuses. Antonio Brown from Tampa Bay, before he decided to strip in New York or wherever it was and go off the field, I mean, he was pretty close to getting his bonuses. Tom Brady, even though the coach told him don't do it, he got his good buddy Gronk his $1 million bonus for whatever he had in his contract. So yeah, you see this with players, but it's the opposite. It's for actually doing well.
You get a bonus for doing better. You know, we expect you to do this, and if you do better than this, we'll give you a bonus. But the former Cleveland Browns coach says that they were actually incentivizing losses. And although I said Flores did not indicate that he ever did it, he said he was offered that possibility. In Cleveland, the guy says, yeah, we did it.
Well, I think in Cleveland, I think it's two parts. You look at some of those Browns teams, they were bad. I mean, let's be honest, they were bad. You know, so I think I could see it being a combination of the team being bad and, you know, actually going through with the idea of, I mean, they went would you say 1-31?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, hey, whatever plan they had, by golly, it worked. They lost.
Now, one of the reasons I have a hard time believing all of this is, Biff, it's the same reason I don't believe in most conspiracies. If this was true, if players were being incentivized to lose, incentivized to make fewer points, incentivized to, you know, whatever the specific things are, at some point this is going to come public. Somebody's going to say something to somebody who's going to say something to somebody, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you can't. I don't believe in conspiracies because I don't think people can keep secrets, and I don't think this could have stayed secret for a very long time. I should quickly again say that a spokesperson for the Browns says that Jackson's claim with the Browns is, quote, completely fabricated. Any accusation that any member was incentivized to lose games is categorically false. So both the Flores claim with the Dolphins as well as the Jackson claim with the Browns have been explicitly and specifically denied. Still, like you said, Biff, whatever, what's the phrase you use, whatever dignity, whatever the respect, whatever
integrity.
the word you used there. What's that?
Integrity?
Yeah, whatever, it's integrity. Whatever integrity there is left in the NFL is certainly being chipped away by these kind of things. But they're in court now. The lawsuit has been filed, so we'll see how it plays out. I invite you to share your thoughts with us at 304-214-1600. That is our text line. If you have any thoughts, happy to get them on the line. We're going to shift into politics in the next half hour and talk to our friend Stephen Allen Adams of the Ogden newspaper chain. Stephen has been taking a look at the latest campaign fundraising reports, particularly in the McKinley-Mooney race, the premier race coming up in the May primary. We'll talk to Stephen. That's next after we check headlines, and Tony is here with the Mountaineer Report on the Watchdog Morning Show.
Now it's time for your local news headlines.
Okie dokie. Thanking you. That was a good segment. Yeah. Yeah, I have to assume that that the league has people in every game watching for things, and if it's too obvious, somebody's going to be calling and going, "I think we got a problem here." Yeah. Right. All right. I'm going to get this text in here about snow days after we come back, and then I'll go straight to Stephen.
Safe out there with this rain and the possible ice.
Mountaineer football adds to its recruiting class. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
At Kroger, fresh groceries are our thing. So we do freshness checks on the items in your delivery order at every step of their journey from our farms to our stores. And pick and pack every blue, raz, and strawberry in your free pickup order with the utmost care. Because we believe in treating your food the same way we'd want ours to be treated. It's the golden rule, only for fresh fruit and stuff. Order now using the mobile app. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
42 million Americans struggle with hunger, yet 35% of the food in this country is wasted. Those aren't just numbers, they're our neighbors, your daughter's friend from school, the family of 4 next door. The Kroger Company Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation is committed to making fresh food accessible to all by ensuring it never goes to waste. Together, we can help end hunger. Learn more at zerohunger.zerowastefoundation.org.
The Mountaineer football program announcing an addition to its recruiting class on Wednesday. WVU signing Cortez Braham, a wide receiver from South Carolina via Hutchinson Community College. He will have 3 years to play 2 seasons. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall. He weighs 193 pounds, and most recently played at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas, a program which has turned out a lot of players over the years. This past season, he was busy. He finished 5th in school history for career receptions at Hutch with 68, went for over 1,300 receiving yards, and his team finished up the season at 9-2. So he will be eligible to play for the Mountaineers this coming season. Turning topics now, Mountaineer basketball team continuing to prepare for a 2-game homestand. West Virginia will take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech coming up on Saturday, and then host Iowa State in the first meeting of the 2 meetings this season, coming up on Tuesday in Morgantown. You take a look at the Big 12 Conference standings right now, and West Virginia struggling right near the bottom, 2-6 overall in league play, 13-8 overall now, mired in this 6-game losing streak, but not all is lost. Consider that West Virginia has the upcoming games, another one against Kansas State, the 2 games against Iowa State, 1 more against Oklahoma, and a date against Oklahoma State. Those teams that I just mentioned are all still down in that second 5 of the league standings. It will be an opportunity for West Virginia, but obviously the winning needs to start soon. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
West Virginia Outdoors is the Mountain State's only hook and bullet radio show, dedicated to the more than 250,000 hunters and anglers across the state. Award-winning host Chris Lawrence has been tracking down hunting and fishing stories for more than 25 years.
Went in behind a little birch tree and said, I reached down and got the bow positioned and found its horns and dropped down and shot it in the neck.
Whether it's hunting and fishing news,
It tracks the roll super well, but not with a 60-pound carp tied to the side.
or just compelling stories about the enjoyment of the great outdoors.
How close did you let him get in before you let fly on him?
He was about 18 yards, Chris. He got turned in the right angle there, and I touched off the trigger. And when I hit him, he ran kind of up the hill, which scared me at first.
West Virginia Outdoors covers it all. Saturday mornings at 7:06 a.m. And for your daily fix, Outdoors Today brings you 2.5 minutes of news and notes from the woods and water every weekday morning. No one covers the great outdoors like Chris Lawrence. And Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
He has his say. You can have yours. Text us or call us and join the conversation. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
It is a rainy morning. The rain's going to turn to freezing rain, mixing a little bit this morning, but becoming a real problem by afternoon with freezing rain. And we could see some real road problems because of the ice on the road, maybe power problems because of ice on the lines. And then snow will mix in with it later in the evening. We've got a winter storm warning is in effect. So be aware of all of that. Temperature right now right around freezing with the rain coming down. But it's going to be kind of a difficult day. Most area, basically all area schools are not in session. Some have gone on remote today as opposed to canceling. And we were talking about how many snow days are left and so on. Somebody told us earlier that Marshall County has pretty much used up their snow days. They now have X number of remote days to use up. Then they'll have to start taking away at the end of the calendar. And I got a text here. Ohio County has 5 snow days, which, Biff, I would think they've used up already or pretty close to it. Over the last 3 weeks, I would think they've had 5 snow days or pretty close to it. After 5 days, they have to add days on to the end of the year. So it's been a rough January for schools, and I think they're going to end up having some issues with all of these snow days as time goes by. The premier race in the primary this spring, I believe, is going to be, I've said it frequently, the race between Alex Mooney, the incumbent congressman, and Dave McKinley, the other incumbent congressman, both running for what is now the 2nd congressional district, a newly created one after redistricting. We've been paying a lot of attention to that. Advertising is getting really ugly in that race. Started out ugly, just gotten uglier. We're going to talk more about it right now with our friend from the Ogden newspaper chain, Stephen Adams. Stephen, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Howard. Happy to be here.
Last time we talked about an ad that the Mooney campaign had put out that you had looked at and thought probably was going to hit some ethics violations. They changed that ad very quickly after you brought that to their attention, did they not?
Well, they were supposed to. I know it took a little bit of time. I received some reports that the original ad was still on the air, but from what I understand, it has been switched out. So, but yeah, that they in another publication, I think the Associated Press did a kind of follow up to my story on that. They had gotten additional quotes from the Mooney campaign where they kind of poo-pooed the whole thing, but they obviously thought it was serious enough to change it. So, you know, they obviously did not want to end up in another ethics snafu.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know that the Mooney campaign is one that ought to be poo-pooing ethics charges.
Well, no, not after this week, because I don't know if you saw in the Hill publication, but they have basically created a legal defense fund for Mooney. It is apparently chaired by a longtime Mooney donor who has agreed not to donate to his campaign while serving in the role of overseeing this legal defense fund, but it's meant to pay legal fees, I presume, from the House Ethics Commission investigation, the previous Office of Congressional Ethics investigation, and I guess whatever may be coming down the road, maybe. I don't know if they're anticipating something more than just ethics rules violations or what, but they created that fund, I think, last week, in the Hill publication reported that a couple of days ago.
That goes back to what I like to call Chick-fil-A gate. where Congressman Mooney had decided, and he said this, he said on this show, he said it publicly, where he has basically said that anytime he goes out to eat or does pretty much anything, if there's any constituent around, then that becomes a campaign event. So, that could be used, that campaign money could be used for it. Ethics staffers don't seem to concur with that, and so that's what he's being looked into. And you're right, I had forgotten that. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I did see that Hill report. And look, I never like to go with a smokeless fire because things have to be proven one way or another anyways, but I don't know, forming a legal defense fund, if you don't think there's anything to the charges, sounds a little like overkill to me, but maybe not. Maybe they're just being cautious. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I got a hold of an internal memorandum from the McKinley campaign, and they had estimated, you got to take this with a grain of salt because this comes from them, but they basically estimated that for every 50 cents of every dollar that Mooney raised during the last quarter, it went to pay legal fees, including $106,000 to the D.C. law firm Wiley Ryan in October. So a good deal of some of his campaign finance dollars are going to pay for the defense of campaign finance violations. So,
I think I'm right on this, and if I'm wrong, I'm getting in trouble. But I think one of McKinley's new ads calls Mooney a political prostitute.
No, I have not seen that yet. I'll have to go looking for that. Since I'm down in Charleston, I don't get to see all the ads that necessarily make it up that direction. So I'm going to have to see if they put that on YouTube yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've got that right, and it's again another pretty aggressive ad. McKinley is, Mooney came out swinging with both guns blazing. How's that for a mixed metaphor? Came out swinging with both guns blazing, but McKinley is swinging back now, and at least two ads that I've seen now taking swipes at him on the ethics issue. But how are they doing fundraising? It all you can't put advertising on the air if you don't have the money to put it on the air. It looks like both of them are already very early on putting a lot of advertising out. You've taken a look at the latest fundraising report, Stephen. Who's raising money? Who's spending money? Who's got money?
Well, when you look, and of course, what just came out here this week is what is known as the year-end report. This is a report that's filed with the Federal Election Commission by candidates, candidate committees, political action committees, things of that nature. So this encompasses everything from January 1, 2021 to December 31, 2021. So the full 2021 year. And of course includes the last 3 months, which is, normally when you get campaign finance stuff, it's done quarterly. So this includes that as well. When you look at the numbers, it is very interesting. For the reporting period, Mooney still has the most cash on hand compared to McKinley. Mooney's sitting on about $2.4 million compared to McKinley, who's sitting on about $1.6 million. But when you get down into the weeds on it, you see that Mooney is actually struggling with some fundraising versus McKinley. He seems to be doing very well. Before the reporting period, so this will be for year-end 2021, McKinley was able to raise more than $598,000, while Mooney was only able to raise about more than $189,000. So that's a substantial increase in fundraising. And also when you look at the cash on hand, I believe Mooney at the end of the third quarter, which would have been September, I believe, was sitting on about $2.5 million, which means he has spent some money, obviously, and has come down. In fact, his cash on hand has dropped about 7% since the last campaign finance report, whereas McKinley's has increased to well above a 150% increase in cash on hand. And some of that is he's donated his own money to the campaign. I think even in their report that they had put up, they estimated that McKinley probably put about an additional $500,000 into the race. So he can self-fund to a certain extent as well. But yeah, sure, Mooney's got more cash on hand, but McKinley is quickly catching up with fundraising. It seems to have the momentum in that.
So Mooney has actually more cash in the bank, so to speak, but McKinley is raising more money right now, therefore on his way to maybe match up with Mooney. And Mooney, it looks to me, the numbers I'm looking at in your story, Mooney is spending so far significantly more than McKinley has, at least to the date of this filing, which makes some sense because Mooney came out, as I said, swinging real early on. McKinley has begun, but Mooney was a lot more aggressive early on. So Mooney has spent more money as well.
That is absolutely correct. You know, Mooney's first ads, I believe, came out within the same month, really around Thanksgiving week, just a couple weeks after the vote on the hard infrastructure bill, the $1.2 trillion hard infrastructure bill. McKinley was one of the 13 Republicans to vote in favor of that. Both Mooney and West Virginia 3rd District Republican Congresswoman Carol Miller voted against that. It's the bill that was negotiated in part by both U.S. Senators Shelley Moore Capito and Joe Manchin, so it had bipartisan support that direction. But that is something that Mooney has very quickly tried to beat McKinley over the head with, especially trying to, conflate it with the Build Back Better bill, President Joe Biden's social spending plan, which, you know, it started at $6 trillion, kind of worked its way down to around 1.8, but then negotiations kind of fell apart when Manchin pretty much said that he couldn't support that. So they've tried to kind of conflate the two. They're not the same thing. And then the other issue that Mooney keeps on using.
And McKinley has been pretty aggressive. McKinley has been pretty aggressive in making it clear he is opposed to Build Back Better. He supported the bipartisan infrastructure bill, but he's opposed to Build Back Better.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. And, of course, the other issue that Mooney is hitting him over in regards to the vote on the hard infrastructure bill is he's trying to tie it to the increase in inflation. Now, that's a hard argument to make for a bill that's literally only existed since November. But that is a big part of his campaign. And, of course, Mooney was also endorsed by President Donald Trump. McKinley supported the original bipartisan independent commission to investigate the January 6th insurrection and attack on the Capitol building. Mooney did not. Now there is the House Select Committee, which was created by Nancy Pelosi, which McKinley very much is not supportive of, but that is still something that has been used in these campaign ads.
Mooney has been putting all of his efforts into his advertising efforts into claiming that those two issues, the infrastructure bill and the January 6th independent commission, and claiming, this shows that he's Nancy Pelosi's puppet. I don't know if he's used that phrase, but that's, kind of the implication. McKinley is focusing, as we had expected before the race even began, McKinley is focusing on the ethics issue. And then, as you say, Stephen, sitting there in the background is Donald Trump, who has endorsed Mooney and who has been aggressively complaining about rhinos, which Mooney claims Dave McKinley is. Originally, I thought that Trump endorsement was going to be a huge factor, and I still think in West Virginia it's a big factor, but I don't know. I've been rethinking my personal analysis of that a bit. I'm not sure how much that Trump endorsement is going to make a difference against the backdrop of ethics complaints or infrastructure complaints. What do you think?
I think the issue with the Trump endorsement for Mooney is unless Trump starts coming to West Virginia and maybe campaigning on behalf of Mooney and being on stage with Mooney, things of that nature, unless that happens, I don't know that this matters that much. It helps in the short term, for sure. It's definitely still a state that supports Donald Trump, but you kind of have to have, Trump with him. And Trump dropped the endorsement pretty much at the end of November, if I recall, and has never mentioned it ever again. It was I feel like it was somewhat of a throwaway endorsement. So unless you got Trump putting out press releases every month or every couple of months mentioning Mooney and praising him or attacking McKinley, I don't know if it helps. But I'll tell you what helps McKinley, and that is the fact that obviously it's hard sometimes to try to differentiate between Build Back Better and the hard infrastructure bill. But the thing that's helping right now is the fact that some of the hard infrastructure bill money is getting out there. There's already been some money come down from bridges and bridge repair. We obviously saw what happened in Pennsylvania here just last week. So we're seeing some bridge money come down. We're seeing money for Corridor H over in the Potomac Highlands. And even though that was never in McKinley's first congressional district, it was a project that he has supported. There was money for that in the hard infrastructure bill, and again, Mooney voted against that. And just this week, both Manchin, Capito, and McKinley announced $141 million from the hard infrastructure bill for cleaning up abandoned wells. So, I had talked to McKinley at one point and said, if you might get helped by this if that money starts to come out. He didn't think that money would really come out between then and the primary election, but it's starting to. And I think if you can bring more of this money back and show that it's going to help people, and by comparison show what has Mooney done or what has Mooney not done, I think that helps McKinley. So the Trump thing on the Mooney end, I think, is a short-term help, but that seems to be the only thing he can talk about in his campaign ads as a positive for himself.
Right. And I think the Pittsburgh Bridge collapse has really focused some people's attention on the need for infrastructure repair, which bodes better for McKinley because folks are beginning to say, you know what, we do need this. And although hopefully none of our bridges are going to collapse, we have some bad bridges too, or roads as well. So I think that Pittsburgh Bridge collapse, I hate to phrase it this way, was timely in terms of showing how important the infrastructure bill was. So I think that may blunt some of Mooney's criticisms. I will be curious to see if either of them turn to something else as time goes by. Again, Mooney is beating on infrastructure, and McKinley is beating on the ethics complaints. Will that be the nature of the campaign all the way to Election Day? Or do they each have something else in their back pocket that'll come out soon? I don't have an answer to that. You probably don't either.
No, the only thing I think that could come out would be taking Mooney's record in regard to Donald Trump and showing whether McKinley actually voted more along the lines of Donald Trump. I think he can prove that. There's a lot of data out there that shows that McKinley probably voted more along the lines of Trump positions when he was president than Mooney did. So I think that could be next.
Stephen, good talking to you, my friend. Get back to work at the legislature, following you on Twitter every day, and your pieces in the Intelligencer. And we will talk again soon. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Howard.
9 o'clock. It's the Watchdog Morning Show. ABC covers the world, already in progress.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
Middle of the night, dozens of U.S. Special Operations.
No, I'll figure something out after I get done with the radio station. But I need to be there. Erica's got like a short window. I have to make sure I'm there in time to get her on the phone and record her. Yeah, Biff, I'll be down. I've got to interview Erica at 10:40. So as soon as I get off the air, I'm coming down to do that interview for the OVAC game. Is there a problem? It is Erica Sorch. It's for Project Best. Yeah, they're one of the sponsors. So I have, but she's in session. She's only got a very short window, so 10:40 is. I need to be there in time to get her. And It's only going to be a 3 or 4 minute interview, but still I have to get it on in time because she's stepping out of a meeting and going back into a meeting. So just letting you know. Yeah, no, I got to do that. Yeah. And then I have a 12 o'clock interview with someone from Wheeling Hospital. Supposedly Huntington Bank, somebody's supposed to schedule Huntington Bank, but I haven't heard about that. So anyway, my point is I'll be right down at 10. I'm going to leave here right at 10 so I can get down to get that set up for 10:40. Just letting you know.